Joey Logano was on fire in Chicago, not his engine smoking. Him, boiling mad, red in the face, and ready to throw down after what he calls a dirty move by Ross Chastain. Another race ending in controversy for Logano. Let me explain how it all went down. The final stretch of the Chicago street race had everyone on edge. The pack was tight. The turns were sharper than ever. Every driver knew one mistake could ruin it all. Then came lap 63, turn 1. Chaos exploded with Logano as the focal point. Ross Chastain slammed into the tire barriers. Cars behind him had no room to breathe. They pushed, shoved, and scrambled to get through. Logano, driving the number 22 Ford, was right there in the mix. Here's the thing. He wasn't the cause of the pileup. Far from it. He was a victim of the mess, just trying to keep his car in one piece. But then came the revenge. Like something out of a video game revenge scene, Chastain came back onto the track. He locked eyes on Logano. He dove straight into him in turn 2. The hit wasn't just a bump, it sent Logano spinning. It wrecked Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s day. It turned an already wild race into a battlefield. On the radio, Joey Logano let it all out. He was furious, not confused, not unsure, furious. And he had every reason to be. After the race, Logano didn't go to his hauler. He didn't cool off. He walked straight to Ross Chastain and let him have it. We don't know every word that was said, but we know this. Logano later told Fox Sports that Chastain admitted to wrecking him on purpose. He admitted it, Logano said, which means he should get fined. That's not a small claim. In NASCAR, saying someone admitted to crashing you on purpose is like lighting a match in a gas station. You're calling out not just a fellow driver, but a code of honor. This wasn't the first time these two have clashed. They already had run-ins earlier this season at COTA, at Martinsville, and now here in Chicago. Logano summed it up with 4 words. I'm just over it. Ross Chastain, for his part, hasn't said much publicly about the hit. But let's talk about the why. Why would Chastain go after Logano? After getting smashed into the tire barriers on that turn 1 restart, Chastain was clearly looking for someone to blame. He must have thought it was Logano who caused the crash. Only problem? It wasn't. Multiple drivers were involved in that chaos. Chastain wasn't just tagged by one car. He got caught in a storm of metal and speed. According to NASCAR insiders, there was no call from Chastain's team saying Logano was at fault. Chastain acted on his own. What does that mean? It means Ross Chastain, the so-called Melon Man, lost his cool and took out the wrong driver. Stenhouse, another victim of the spin, made his feelings known in a pointed way, a not-so-subtle jab at Chastain's farming roots. But Joey Logano didn't joke. He didn't laugh. He stood there in the middle of pit road, looking Chastain in the eye, demanding answers. When he got them, it only made him angrier. Typical Ross, he said. He just sees red and does dumb stuff. That's not a light insult. That's a direct shot at how Chastain drives, how he races, and how little he thinks before acting. What makes this more intense is that both these drivers are known for racing hard. Neither of them backs down. When two bulldozers go head-to-head, you don't get a winner, you get wreckage. This time, the wreckage was Joey Logano's trust, his race, and his patience. So far, NASCAR has said nothing. No fines, no penalties, no suspension, nothing. Joey Logano isn't exactly thrilled about that. You wreck someone on purpose and admit it, that usually means you're in trouble. But in this case, Chastain walked away with a 10th place finish, no punishment, and a smirk. Meanwhile, Logano was left cleaning up the mess literally and emotionally. You could hear the disbelief in his voice when he spoke to reporters. He admitted he did it on purpose, Logano said again, as if repeating it might make the league finally take notice. How is that okay? This isn't just about one race in Chicago, it's about a pattern, a growing frustration in the garage that Ross Chastain keeps getting into wrecks and somehow keeps getting away with it. They call him the Melon Man because of his watermelon farming background, but on Sundays he's more like a bowling ball. One hit and pins go flying. Some fans love that. They say he races hard, that he's old school. Others say he crosses the line too often. Joey Logano has always been known as a tough driver himself. He's no angel, but even he's starting to wonder where NASCAR draws the line. Because if you can just take someone out and face no consequences, what kind of message does that send? Especially when it happens on a street course where drivers already face tight corners, blind turns, and concrete walls with no forgiveness. Add personal revenge to that mix, You're not racing, you're hunting. Logano knows that all too well now. He finished 11th, one spot behind Chastain. But it wasn't the position that stung. It was the way he got there. NASCAR says they'll review everything. But fans have seen this movie before. Words, promises, then the next race comes and nothing changes. Meanwhile, another controversy was brewing at the front of the field. Shane Van Gisbergen won his second Chicago street race. SVG, as he's known, became only the second driver to sweep an Xfinity and Cup weekend by winning both races from the pole. The other was Kyle Busch at Indianapolis in 2016. With his third win, he's now the most winning foreign-born driver in NASCAR Cup Series history. "This joint, it changed my life," said the three-time Australian Supercars champion. "I didn't have any plans to do more NASCAR races when I first came over here, and I never thought I'd be in NASCAR full-time." But Van Gisbergen's victory was overshadowed by what happened behind him. As Van Gisbergen was completing his next-to-last lap, Cody Ware blew a brake rotor and slammed into the Turn 6 tire barrier. It was a hard hit, but NASCAR didn't throw the caution until Van Gisbergen had passed the start-finish line and taken the white flag. Because Van Gisbergen had taken the white flag, the final lap was completed under caution and the race was official. If the caution came out before he had taken the white, there would have been an overtime restart and a two-lap dash to the finish. NASCAR had waited to see if drivers could move their cars after hitting the tire barrier previously. They had no idea how hard the impact was for Ware. Race officials didn't throw the caution until they realized he wasn't going to get it restarted. The hit was hard enough that Van Gisbergen could see the smoke from several hundred feet away. "I came out of the last corner and just saw a heap of smoke straight ahead of Turn 6, and I just held my breath until I crossed the line, really," Van Gisbergen said. "When I got the white flag, I came around the next couple of corners and the yellow came out. It was a massive relief." Ty Gibbs, who finished second, and Tyler Reddick, who was third, would have loved another shot at Van Gisbergen on a restart. "I would have been all for that 100%, but I don't know if it should have been thrown," Gibbs said. "That would have been awesome." The drivers likely won't forget. They have another road course coming next week at Sonoma. NASCAR likely won't forget either. The league will likely look at both incidents to determine if there should be any sanctions against the drivers. But that's the same promise they always make. Review everything, look into it, determine if sanctions are needed, and then nothing happens.